Real quick, before we start, we just wanted to say that we are in the process of revamping the Patreon, and one of the current plans is to put the most of or the entirety of the current season on Patreon to watch. We will still continue to release things, or we still plan to release things weekly, an episode a week, but if you want to watch more, or hopefully the whole thing, if I can get it all edited, you can patron and head over there and watch it along with us.
Yay!
So...
I wanna do real bad things with you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching True Blood, Season 2, Episode 6.
Hard-hearted Hannah.
What the fuck does that mean?
I think it's that one of the songs that he was singing.
She's hard-hearted Hannah, the vamp of Savannah, G.A.
The one of the songs that
The
Bill was
vamp
singing.
from Savannah? Okay.
Yeah.
It's approved. It's earned. I don't know where to start with this episode. This was a lot of episode. There was a lot of things that happened. Half of this episode is terrible. The writing was really bad.
Okay.
But then I can't tell who to blame. I don't know whose fault it is, but because half of it I'm like it's the big True Blood question. I'm like, oh, it's just camp.
Yeah.
So much of it.
It was just it came at the perfect time where it slipped right under the radar and it was able to pass itself off as prestige TV for a while. For a long while.
I think part of it was us being 22, though.
That is definitely part
there
of it.
There was so much that I was like Marianne is comically... she turns on a dime once she gets in there.
This bitch, Tara even halfway calls her out and is like, sorry, I don't have a nicer place for you to squat in. And Marianne is like, if I don't have a hot shower, I'm going to murder everyone.
No,
Tara, you may not know this about me, but without a hot shower in the morning, I have no tolerance for sarcasm.
It's a whole thing.
It was
and she's making it everyone else's problem.
It was.
Also, why do you want a hot shower in a house with no air conditioning in the summer in
I was
Louisiana?
literally go lay in the yard for 10 minutes. You'll warm up. If that's the issue, you'll warm up. It was so weird. And she's just not even, at least in season 1, at least Amy could figure when she was losing the upper hand, right, and could re-manipulate, re-strategize. But Marianne is practically shattering glasses and ordering people around.
Yeah.
It was so weird. So Tara and Eggs go to get this piece and
they don't end up getting it.
No, they're gone all day, and they're having the worst small talk.
Yeah.
It was the in-between moments.
Uh-huh.
The moment where Sam and Daphne were laying on the pool table.
Filthy. They're fully nude. His entire penis is touching the felt of this dirty bar
it
pool
was
table.
Smashed into. It's not like it's grazing.
No, it's he's laying on his stomach. It's on it.
Please. No, stop. Don't.
Gross.
And what does he say to her? He asks about her scar.
Yeah.
And she's like, honestly, I don't remember. And he's like, you don't remember it? And she goes, oh, I remember it. I don't remember how I got it. And it was just this weird sort of
I assume that that's supposed to mean that she's like, I remember the pain, but I don't remember the incident.
No, I know, but it was phrased.
Oh yeah, I know.
An actual conversation wouldn't happen that way.
No.
It was so strange. And there was 4 other instances in this episode.
And then he sexually harasses her at work.
Yeah. After Eric sexually harasses the vamp prostitute, sex worker, whatever.
Well, I don't know that I'd classify that the same way. Because she's like, do you want me to pretend like I'm not into it?
So he makes her participate in a rape fantasy that she's not.
Well, he says only if you're very, very good at it. And she's terrible at it.
Stop! Get off me! You sick, blood-sucking bastard.
She's terrible at it. And
What did she say, though? She said that there was a specific word. Was it yuck or something? I think she was like, icky. And that part part was great. She was great. She earned her both in world and the character and the actress earned their paycheck with that.
Yeah.
And he did say he was.
Tell your manager you were magnificent. I'll back up your story if he calls.
I don't know the logistics of this in-world people who want to get bit by vampires situation.
There was just like a lot of really questionable back and forth.
She looks like a high-class stripper for
one for
what is it, congressmen and
politicians. Yeah. And then, because then there were so many weird little conversations. Because like the conversation that Jason and Luke were having.
Yeah.
The information that was conveyed felt authentic and was accurate to what their conversation would have been like, but the back and forth of it was so sitcom-y.
Yeah.
Like the way that he was just sort of like, ain't nothing worse than sex outside of marriage except for sex with a married woman. And then he started
and it's like, or except for not really that, sex with a dude. And then he's like, a vampire dude is the worst though. And it's just like,
that was funny. I was laughing at that,
I mean,
but
it's
it was
funny, but it's just
the specific line.
Yeah.
Line was really
also
weird.
He insists that adultery is up there with bestiality and incest, and I'm like, look, I'm not for cheating on your spouse, but it is not the same.
You just listed 3 very different things.
Like, if you're comparing 2 words and you won't even say the word.
But anyways, so Eggs figures out that he's been to this place before.
Yeah. He makes her veer off course. They drive down a road.
I had forgot. I remember some things and I don't remember other things.
Yeah.
So part of it, I was like, oh, is this where he's from? That's really interesting. But it turns out, no, he was just here once for an orgy.
Yeah. But I think it's because nobody remembers the orgies in the morning.
No, I know that. But if I would never be driving down a street and been like, I've been to a drunken party here once. Like, it was very like one orgy in this location doesn't seem like it would imprint on you enough for the reaction he was having.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's. I mean, it's the type of thing that they just don't explain, which
Also,
is the most upsetting part.
She followed him 2 miles
deep into the woods
on foot, deep into the Louisiana wilderness.
45 minutes. She said they were walking.
That's too long.
Yeah.
And too far.
Yeah.
I'm turning around and getting in the car.
They don't have any water with them. Do you know how much you sweat?
I was like, what? There were so many things in this. And
well, it's like, it could be the type of thing where it's like he remembers because he's like outside of Marianne's influence for the moment. But they never explain that or put a button on it or shine a light or anything.
So any one of these things I would normally let go, but I felt like there was too many things that were like, huh? Yeah. And so that's when I started getting nitpicky. Like if it was just this one thing, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. But and the episode wasn't all bad. Like there was a lot of interesting and a lot of good things happening, as is usual, not always, but frequent. Anna Paquin was on top of it.
Oh yeah.
I think that, I mean, and she's the lead, so duh. But I think that the show largely works because of her. On her. She sort of finds a way to ground it in this 1 foot in, 1 foot out reality. Yeah. And Sookie
at this point too, she still has an iron grip on the character.
And she's so fully realized and just sort of because she's also not saddled with Bill in this episode.
It's amazing.
So yeah, I was like the delight of getting to watch her sort of explore this world and have her like
wake up gently kissing in bed. Just like, ugh. Come on.
It was really but her observations, I love Sookie's very unique combination of street smarts and naivete.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and like even just seeing Sarah Newland, like, I feel like it would be so easy to be like, oh, she's so pretty or whatever. But Sookie's like,
why do I recognize her?
Because she's on TV all the time. That's Sarah Newland. She's the Reverend's wife.
You know, in person, she looks like vanilla pudding.
which is so funny because it's not not true. Like, it's not offensive, but it's also kind of like, wait, what did you call me? Like,
I mean, she's also wearing like a gold skirt suit in this. She has all the same
one color.
the whole thing.
And so is what Sookie's actually doing is, so Hugo is Isabella's human lover. Mm-hmm. And spoiler alert, I remember where it was the second, because in last week's episode, I was sort of like, I feel like it's Isabella's fault, but I don't know why, because that felt inauthentic. Yeah. And so, again, spoilers for coming up, but
I think it's like the next episode.
Yeah, it's not her, it's Hugo is like somehow infiltrating
he's like
and deceiving. Yeah.
Somehow. Well, he also, it's so weird because he, on the one hand, if that is correct, if you're remembering correct, he is trying to bring down the vampires, but at the same time, he wants to be one. Because
it's all pretend.
Oh, it's all pretend.
He knows Sookie's reading his mind. That's why he's just repeating it over and over and over again like a mantra.
He says it out loud to her, too.
I don't know.
Like,
He says it to Sookie.
Yeah.
That's the part he's playing the role at that point.
Okay.
No, when Sookie's reading his mind, he's just like...
Yeah, forever and ever and ever and ever, yeah.
And Anna even's kind of like, huh. But she does say that everyone's inner monologue is different.
Yeah, she also she seems to think it's sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in that regard, the show does a good job of throwing us off the trail by having him throw her into chaos, because I can't decide if I believe that or not, that she'd never considered the fact that she wasn't going to grow old. Because on one hand, it checks with her naivety, but on the other hand, she's very pragmatic and so in love that how has she not run this computation through?
Yeah, but also...
It has also been 3 weeks. So.
But also, in addition to that, Bill would be there to the bitter end, just for nobility's sake.
I was like, if I was participating in that conversation with them, I would be like, well, I mean, the nature of the relationship would change. It would turn into a more like
companionship.
Yeah, like elderly. And I would assume that the vampire would move on either while it's happening or after the fact.
Right.
But I mean, if they're good at being a vampire and they've got time, they can wait.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal, but I don't think it's quite the hang up that so many authors insist that it is.
Okay, but here's the thing, because it's the thing I respect about Bella from Twilight the absolute most, is that she is immediately like, you need to turn me. Like, if this is for real and this is going to be, like, you have to turn me. And but she never lets go of it or has any questions about it at all.
But the notion that that's some unthinkable, unspeakable curse to have to grow old and die while your lover remains young and beautiful forever is a modern notion, because mythology is littered with mortals who like encounter gods that I mean that's what a demigod is. So it happens. I don't know. I don't think it's as tragic or unspeakable as YA novellas would lead us to believe. I mean, is that interesting to you at all, or?
I mean, sort of. I just think it's...
You're just so pro-team vampire.
Just
make me the
vampire.
You're like, why are we even having this conversation?
I don't think it's a conversation worth having. Just to turn.
But okay, but for me though, I don't want to be the vampire. So I would be like, let's just.
So don't.
Yeah, and I'd be like, let's just like ride this out and see where it goes. I'll panic when I turn 45 and be like, turn me, like. So she goes to the church. It's a very well concealed scheme on their part.
Yeah.
Because Sookie is well in the lion's den when she starts getting... Also, round of applause. That church is rather spectacular.
It's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. I know. I just love it in here. The way it glows like it does. Particularly in the late afternoon.
Oh, it's inspiring, isn't it?
I don't love the church instinct to use a lot of light wood.
Well, I think specifically the wood is because it's a vampire, like...
No, I've been in, like, Catholic churches that are like that. I don't. It's not my favorite thing. Like, what? Let's do stone
You want the European grandeur.
Let's build things out of stone again.
There needs to be... characters worthy of a Victor Hugo novel lurking in every
catacombs.
Priceless jewels.
Yeah. There's just like a basement in this church. Like a finished basement with wood paneling on the wall.
We get, I guess, an important note that Sarah has.
She's conflicted.
She's conflicted.
Yeah.
So she has a functioning moral compass.
Yeah.
And
she's just not always listening to it. She thinks that it's inappropriate to be involving Sookie in this. And Steve is like thinking in her mind. Well, he says it out loud too that she's a cunt, but he's like thinking all of this like
bridge too far for Sarah Newland.
Way too far for Sarah Newland. And then Gabe is there and they start dragging Hugo and Sookie down the stairs into this basement.
That is one of my favorite tropes. I love I don't know, it probably has a name. I was going to say that like frog in the boiling pot or whatever. Where it's
you
like,
don't realize how much danger you're in until you're in it.
I kind of love that. Like what specifically is the point of no return?
Yeah.
And symbolically, it's when they went into the chamber, the light chamber.
Yeah.
But like literally it's the second Gabe's behind her.
Yeah.
Like, but it is very interesting. I remember really liking Sarah Newland. Mild tonal spoilers, not actual plot spoilers, but she does come back to this show later on in season like 6 or 7. I don't quite remember. I don't know how far we're going to cover, if we're going to even be covering that. So I wanted to say now, I actually enjoy her character then, but it is a completely different character, or I think they go a different direction with her that I don't know that I would 100% agree with.
Right.
However, it's fun in its own way. That's what I was trying to get at. So, if we're exploring Sarah Newland, there's like 4 different ways to look at her, depending on when and where you are. So she has properly slept with Jason. I also think that I think she does believe what she's saying. Like, I think she believes God wants her to, like, it's the FLOTUS.
She wants to.
No, I think she has. I think we talked about this in the last episode, the episode before. It's like, I think that she is built for leadership, but because of the patriarchy she's in, she thinks she needs to find a man to prop up.
Right.
And so she thinks she was wrong with it being Steve and that it's Jason.
Well, in that sense, Jason would make a way better figurehead because he's too dumb to question her. And he's, no offense, hotter than Michael McMillan.
It's funny because watching this time, I guess with the benefit of being older, some of these people, I'm like, man, they're not as cute as I remember. And other ones, I'm like, oh, they're cuter than I remember. And he's one. No, he's one where I'm like, oh, he looks cute. And I don't remember finding him intriguing at all when I was.
He's super cute. Steve is just.
And I'm still bummed with what they're doing with Luke. I think that there's a better, more interesting use of that character. And frankly, at this point, it is. At this point, they're still telling that story.
Yeah.
They haven't switched to a different story yet.
Right.
So, God, there really was a lot because
we haven't even touched on Lorena or Andy Belfleur or Lafayette.
there was so much plot.
So,
in
like,
this
okay.
episode. Was this 2 hours long?
It was not, but it felt like it. So Andy is going after Lafayette now because he's like, you were gone for 2 weeks and now you're back and you don't have any of your razzle that you used to have.
Pizzazz.
And so he's like, I was on a cruise, a gay cruise. And Andy's like, if you went on a gay cruise, you'd have more pizzazz than before.
Which...
True. Fair enough.
Acute observation there, detective.
And so Terry is in the room too, and he's like, Andy, you need to like cool it. And he's like,
You weren't on any damn gay cruise. Because if you were, you would have come back with more pizzazz, not less. So how about you and I go down to the station, I lock you up.
And Terry finally is like, fuck you, you're not even a cop anymore, and everyone knows it.
And it is the truth and nothing but the truth. But this is what we were hinting at before, where it's like Lafayette goes into full, like, shell shock.
Oh,
like,
yeah, he's on the ground imagining that it's Eric, which, by the way, superb performance by Alexander Skarsgård.
Tell me now. Because I already know what you were doing. You're hiding out. Tell me I'm not right.
Leave him alone, cuz.
Terry, you need to shut up.
Yes, but it's pinging comedy. So the scene is doing 3 different tones at one time.
Sure.
And it's very jarring.
Yeah.
Because it prevents me from fully investing in Lafayette's story.
Yeah.
Because of the absurdity of Andy Balfour's character and performance.
Yeah.
And then that
Eric
composition to compare it to that. And then Terry comes in from a very necessary and desired white knight angle.
Yeah.
And so the scene, it's doing so many things that it's very jarring in a way that when I was younger, I was like, this is weird. And now I'm like,
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. That is true. And so then Pam,
because Nelson is playing it sincerely.
Very sincerely, like he has PTSD, which I'm sure he does. And then later Pam comes and he's...
That was more effective because there's only two things happening in that scene.
Exactly. And she basically is like, you're going to sell V for us. And he's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically where that
She also looks amazing. And it's just like, it was that moment in the episode where we're like, oh, this is what has been missing. This is what I needed.
Things have been missing. So then I guess Lorena, Hoyt's mom canceled his phone, so he hasn't been getting calls from Jessica because women who call that time of night are only looking for money. Money?
So you're gonna go with money? That was another one of the scenes where
Maxine,
when she was talking to her friend,
yeah,
there was like they had like 3 lines of dialogue between each other. I was like, this is terrible.
So weird.
Any chance I'll get it?
0. She's about the worst I've ever seen.
Well, maybe it's for the best. Seems like lately, if you're too good a waitress around here, someone's gonna come along and kill you.
You are so bad, Maxine.
I was like, that's the
They're
little.
also just slagging off Daphne, which is like, I'm at capacity with slagging off Daphne. So, although she turned around and betrayed Sam and brought him to the orgy at the end.
I remember being conflicted about Daphne as well. And it's like all over the place. All over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, though, Hoyt makes it to Dallas to surprise Jessica while she's pouring out $90 worth of True Blood down
is
the
that?
sink.
Okay.
Yeah. She looks at the menu because he won't let her order a human. And so she just grabs 2 of them and dumps them out.
I was so thrown because I thought it meant there were 45 kinds of True Blood.
No, there's only like 6 blood types.
So I was mind boggled.
Yeah.
I was like, is this like a blend situation? Or like, well, actually, I didn't even think animal. I was thinking like, is this other things? Like shifter or like. And Hoyt did tell off his mom in front of everybody.
It was amazing. And he was like, the reason that she calls late at night is because she's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And also he was like, we don't have any money. And Maxine looked at her friend. She goes, we're very comfortable. And it's just like, you're all poor. Everyone in this town is poor.
So Daphne and Sam did go running, and we did get confirmation that she was the pig.
Yeah.
And
that's her go-to shifting form.
I still think that that's weird. I think that it's... I got it. I said this in the last recording. I got it in my head that what they turn into says something about their character.
I don't think so.
I think it's weird that she turns into a hog. So that was another one where the dialogue was because they shaped back into a human and they were like laughing at how much fun that was.
It almost seemed like Andy recognized you. Well, the way he was yelling after you, like, pig! Pig!
Isn't pig exactly what you would call a pig that you didn't know?
And she's like, isn't that what you'd say to a pig you'd never seen before? And I was like, what?
It was like I don't know. It was very uncanny.
Yeah.
Anytime 2 characters were talking to each other.
It was a little weird.
It was very strange. So she did lead him to Marianne, and I mean, it's not been subtle. I remember it being more subtle. It's not, but I guess we have full confirmation that she is just the villain, up to and inclling.
She put on the
bullhead, and they're back in an orgy.
Because Eggs and Tara are like they all have black eyes, and now Eggs and Tara have black eyes, and they're just like,
but they stumble on it, and they're like, oh, and then in the next scene, they're part of it. So part of me,
she has trashed Sookie's house. It's infuriating.
How is that part of it? Like,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, the debauchery, sure, because
yeah, but there's just like buckets everywhere.
I do know what she is.
Yeah, but
And I'm not going to say it now. Trust when I say it's a wild one.
It is.
I'll even go as far as to say it's a good one, but it is.
Well, Lorena.
It turns out Eric brought Lorena.
I forgot that. I think it's partially just to distract Bill so that he wants Sookie, but it's also to distract Bill so that Sookie can like do the job she's there for, because Bill is an overbearing prick. So if we do need him distracted. But we get this really bizarre flashback where they're pretending to be French, which is
she had a good French accent.
She was pretty good, but that's already weird. They're like throwing this party and then they pick this couple and then they just
And I'm back at the first kill
them.
logic where I'm like, just drink their blood and have an orgy. Where does this torture porn aspect come into play?
Super weird. It's just very bonkers, and it's the type of thing that like that was clearly in the 20s, and like we don't know Bill to have ever willingly acted that way.
I mean, I think it's part of his like arc, his like this redemption he's on, but it's just, and I mean, as I recall, we explore it more, so I think that they will fill in the blanks.
We were in like full Angelus territory in a way that like I did not recall that.
And it does seem like he sort of wakes up one day and is tired of it. Where at least in Angelus's sake, there's like magic reasons
involved
for why there's the
but then he basically, when Sookie's getting dragged down to the basement, she calls out for him and he wakes up, and then Lorena is just on top of him and just like then forces him to kiss her. It's
far too early, but she's not annoying me as much as she was the first go round. We hated Lorena the first go round, and I'm much more like
I think it's the next episode. I think we're about to get there.
This is a very give with one hand, take with the other show.
It is,
but there was just a point about like 28 minutes in where I'm like, man, this show really did just fall to absolute pieces.
And like so fast. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's one of the like sharp, like maybe Heroes was a pretty sharp decline as well, but like
I don't know, we have Umbrella Academy season 3 to throw in that mix now.
Yeah.
But but I remember even when we were watching it, like when we were in the throes of it, it was on for 7 years, from the ages of 22 to 30 type situation.
Yeah.
And I remember realizing it, maybe not exactly in real time, but we were like, okay, the quality wavers, pro and back and forth, to and fro. But I remember our refrain was sort of where, like, as long as we're having fun, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'll watch to mention First Kill again.
Yeah.
I'll watch a bad show if I'm having fun with it.
As long as I'm being entertained.
Yeah. I think that's certainly sufficient for episode 6 of season 2.
Which we didn't even really like that much.
There was so much, and we haven't even met Godric. Well, we technically met him in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I know the next episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm actually kind of excited. I remember liking it.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we're going to watch it.
Bye.
Bye.